point.
Okay, we're live again, boys.
Wait, what'd you say, boy?
I'm muted at some point, White, to deal with some shit. I'm in bed. I'm fucking blackpilled. I'm blackpilled, but I went off today.
No.
Yes, dude. So we're like not talking. She just sent me a Bible, boy. She just sent me the fraud Bible.
Ooh.
Like literally.
Jehovah in the building.
Yes, we got a VOD that's fucking good. Okay, I just listened to it.
It has to be like 5,000 words.
So this VOD, the VOD is the name of this VOD.
It's all over.
This is what.
Get it. Be strong. Be independent.
It's gonna be straight drop. Straight drop.
Okay, she's Ave 666 Ave. He's saying I don't want my religion and something that is important to me anywhere close to drugs. It would be like putting them into the same ballpark and
it's a completely different podcast.
One podcast. That's the thing is that this is very fast shifting. I feel like the drug people like had this error that like we were just dismissing them. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
the drug people. I don't think they thought that at all.
Okay.
They were. Oh. Yeah, they would have probably left.
Yeah.
Triple 666 Ave said thanks for the offer anyways that you gave me. That offer still stands. Like I said, that was my fault. It was a logistical error, and we're gonna learn from it.
It's kind of ironic because our entire history of human civilization has mixed, I would say, spiritual experiences with religion, with drugs. Not specifically the type of drugs that you might be thinking of, but
yeah, exactly.
There is some sort of intertwining that goes back to all the way to the Stone Ape theory, you know.
Yeah, well, I thought like Aleister Crowley, like he fucking got liddied up and then boned some dude in the butt till he saw demons. So like I don't know, like, but that's what I thought about Satanism. And
I mean, but real Satanism isn't about worshiping Satan.
Yeah, it's not. It's like do unto yourself as you wish.
Yeah, it's just like I mean, they believe like, oh, if your neighbor fucking fucks your wife, then kill him. Like.
That's what I want to understand because I feel like Aleister Crowley like had it so like drug intertwined and stuff, and he is saying that's not at all the case. He feels tainted by us bringing druggies in with them. So,
but it wasn't with them.
Yeah, I don't know.
I actually hope that the person coming on with the Satanist religion, I hope that person is able to share with us a little bit more about the history of the founder and what he's doing now as opposed to before, and how the whole thing kind of prescribed itself. But yeah, no, there's definitely a misconception that you believe in the devil or someone.
Yeah, they don't believe in either entity, really.
Yeah, the Satanism is more of like symbolic for like.
Yeah.
It's more like
right? It's like for the idea of being like heaven.
Well, we'll let the expert.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
so that's not gonna be today though, because he's not coming in. So let's get the.
Just say a bunch of misinformation, so he has to come on.
He had his chance. He understood where I was coming from. He took.
Just start misrepresenting him, like so. This guy said that he had to leave because he's gonna go fuck a guy in the butt because that's what Satan wanted him to do.
Boy,
so he can't come on today.
That is
good on him.
Good on you, misrepresenting him.
Yeah, let's get the flat earthers in here, boys.
Flat earthers are coming in. Movis, Pan.
Yeah. So get everyone that isn't a flat earther out of here.
Pantamath is one. No, we gotta give Pantamath a roll though, because he keeps getting kicked out.
All right, I'm just gonna move everyone that's not a flatter out. Okay.
Do it.
Because it's Cartisel a flatter?
Hello?
Who's Cartisel?
Cartisel is just from like our crypto Discord. Yeah, let's move Cartisel out too. Let's just move everybody out just for this interview. I think they can do that everywhere. I think they can do it everywhere, to be honest.
Roll.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, he's in here. Okay.
No, yeah, I accidentally left the chat when I was trying to re-roll him.
Okay, is FBI Jedi IP man? Is that guy with you, Panto?
Jedi's not.
We're from the 247 server. Okay, awesome. So Is Jedi coming up as well?
Aye.
Okay, yeah, he is.
Okay.
I gotta give him a roll too.
There we go. Jedi's in here, so we'll get him unmuted.
Yeah.
And Morvis doesn't want to be unmuted, right? Oh,
He
I
doesn't
think
want
he's
to
at his work.
Oh, he's muted himself. Yeah.
okay, yeah. He said, yeah, he said he was working and he's just gonna listen in.
Okay. Yeah, Jose Meza, he was the one that was coordinating this. Let's get you in here. It's Jedi. Are you from the Flat Earth?
Yes, buddy, yes.
Okay,
Are you
awesome.
from the flat Earth?
Yeah. Oh, wait, technically, we're all from the flat Earth, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
That'll be right.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming on. We really
Oh,
appreciate it, and
well, thank
we're
you
looking
for
forward to the
inviting.
conversation.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Of course.
Two people I think we're waiting for. One is El Baba Yaga or Jose Meza, and the other one is Effie.
Who's the mad philosopher? Is that a flat earther? Or?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's a flat earther too, yeah.
Okay, so we're getting Bino, right? Does Bino come up or no?
Yeah, why not, yeah.
Okay. So we got Bino.
Let's unmute that boy.
Yeah, he's unmuted.
Get it unmuted on Bino. Yeah, but he's just got his.
Muted.
Well, he's
Jedi-
he's client side muted. I'm here.
Jedi, man, if you could please make sure to speak a little bit slower because your mic is kind of muffled. So I want to make sure that we hear you really well on the podcast.
No problem, buddy. That's fine.
Thank you.
One
Are
of
you from
us.
are you from the north or south, mate?
Is that?
We're not trying to be talking about this back. I'm gonna have to mute you, Toke. We're not talking about this dumb bullshit. We're talking about flat Earth, dude.
Yeah, no. Just ask me.
So do we have everybody? Are we ready to start?
I'm from North Flairth.
North
So,
left.
What brought all you
North
guys
Flairth.
together on
North
this
Flairth.
this Flat Earth Discord? Like, how did you guys come about? Like Redditing?
Yeah, I'm curious too.
I got
Well,
it from
first-
my YouTube recommended, man. Yeah, it came up. I never used to pick anything that came up on my recommended. I would never ever pick it, and it came up for weeks and weeks. And then one time I just clicked it, realized they were talking about like heavy duty scientific stuff, and I never realized that Discord was even like software that you could go on. And I was kind of listening for hours before I realized that you could actually get into the conversation. That was about 7 months ago. So
Okay,
I joined.
awesome. Yeah, I guess before that, like that was perfect, Panto. But like, I guess, yeah, to start things off, just go through and introduce yourselves, and I guess how long you've been aware of that the Earth was flat, or believe that the Earth was flat, and then kind of what got you into it. So that was
Go first?
Panto. Yeah, you just did.
Right,
That was
cool, man.
perfect.
Cool, man. Well, I'm Panto Math. I've been in the server, our original server, including this one, like about 6 or 7 months. I've known about Flat Earth now coming up for 5 years. I think that's about it. I mean, I've always been into like speaking to people about it, find out where I lived in this reality, and I went along with the heliocentric model all my life. I hung on every word NASA said for decades, literally, and then I decided to just stop going along with everything that I'd been told and go back to what I could verify myself and my natural experience on Earth, which is that we experience it to be flat and stationary. We need to be told we live on a ball flying through space, which the TV helps quite a lot. But apart from that, we do experience Earth to be flat and stationary. That's good enough for you.
What makes you believe that? Is
Well, hold on. Well,
yeah.
Bet, allow the others to
yeah,
introduce
you're right. Yeah,
themselves.
introductions. I apologize. Yeah.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, perfect, Panto. It's nice to have you on here, man. We appreciate it. Whoever wants to go next, just go ahead and speak
Thanks.
up.
Thanks for letting us come.
Yeah, of course,
Well,
man.
I'll introduce myself. I'm Effie Jedi. I'm from the 24/7 Discord server 2.0. I've been a flat earther for coming up 4 years now this September, actually. So yeah, next month. So yeah,
Wow,
I've been a
4
flat earther
years.
for 4 years. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. How did I get into it? It was just, I've always been curious. I've always asked questions. I've always done personal research. Conspiracy theories, some people want to turn in, but it's just personal research into things. So I've always asked questions. I got to a bit of a point. Well, I felt like I'd gone through everything, and I just clicked onto a video. It didn't have Flat Earth in the title. I didn't even realise it was about Flat Earth until about 15, 20 minutes into the video. And then from that video, I just had to start asking questions because the information that I got within the video was definitely something that I had to follow up and ask and look into. And that was 4 years ago. And yeah, here I am, willing to talk to people about the Flat Earth.
Awesome.
Okay, so really it was just YouTube videos that like fully convinced you and stuff. Like you haven't, there was nothing
Well-
like in your actual life that really like had you on this beforehand. It had a lot to do with like seeing what other people had researched.
Well, primarily it was just research like that, but I went out and done some of the tests and observations myself. I live in the southeast of England, and the coast of France is 24 miles away. There, in my position on the southeast coast, I could see different locations at different times. Looking at that with the Earth curve calculator, when you find out that you are literally seeing things in the distance that predictably should not be able to be seen because we're told that we're low on the ball, then you have to start digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And yeah, within the community and with stuff that I've done myself, I understand you have to be flat and stationary.
If I can ask, while we're doing introductions, it sounds like both of you guys have seen some videos that I'm sure you've shown other people. Please feel free to share them with us because I would love to see them myself. And I feel like if you guys, I'm sure that you guys have the permissions to post them in general chat or whatever chat. I obviously would love to take a look. So if you guys have one or two specific videos that, you know, like the go-to ones that you say, that if somebody asks you like, which one would you recommend looking at? I would love to take a look at that one as well.
Also, I just pulled up 2 more people who talk about the subject. Jose and,
Okay, well,
Jose, you're the leader of the server, I believe, right? Like you're the
Jedi, we're
head.
really happy to have you as well, Jedi. Appreciate it, man.
And Jose,
Yeah, no
Jose,
problem.
you're like the head, right? Like you run the 247 server.
I'm not the leader. We're a whole community that we work together. I just happen to be an administrator because I'm pretty decent, like I guess making choices as an administrator maybe. But no, I'm not the leader. Like I see myself in the same position as everyone in here.
Okay, awesome, man. And Jose, how long have you been with the flat Earth? I guess I don't want to call it a cause. I guess just
movement
a
idea.
movement. I guess yeah, like.
So I've been looking into flat Earth since 2015. Would you like to hear kind of how I got into it?
Yeah, of course, man.
All right, so it was 2014 for me, and I was a big space nerd. I used to watch like Cosmos. I used to watch anything to do with space. You know, anything that with the word space in there or outer space or planets. I was watching it. So I used to watch all these shows, and I was on YouTube one day, and I seen this video that was made by this guy named what's his name? Sorry, I can't think of his name right now, but he made this video called The Principle, right? And it's a geocentric documentary, and it had a lot of high-level scientists in there, or astrophysicists, theoretical physicists. It had Michio Kaku, Lawrence Krauss, like all these very big names in these fields, right? So I was really drawn to watching that because I was already watching those guys. So when I saw this, The Principle, it pretty much opened my mind to the idea that the Earth was still a globe, but that it wasn't moving, that it was stationary and everything revolved around us. So that's what the whole idea of a geocentric model would be, right? And it wasn't until like I saw that video that I got so into that idea of geocentric that I started typing on YouTube, geocentric Earth, because I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know what it was, but I was like looking into it like that. And every time I typed geocentric flat Earth, I would see a flat Earth video pop up, flat Earth geocentric. And I was like, what? Like it's flat then? I was kind of confused because I didn't know geocentric meant like what it meant. I thought it meant like it just wasn't moving, but like I didn't know what the flat Earth was at the time. So I clicked on this video by Eric Dubé, that's my recommendation for anyone. It's a little bit buried because YouTube censors flat Earth now. I'll go and pull it up in a minute for you guys. But this is a video that kind of got me like with my eyes wide open into flat Earth. It's called The History of Flat Earth by Eric Dubé. And that was the first video I saw. After that one led me to another video. And I literally went through like a couple of weeks of just going through these flat Earth videos. And it wasn't long before I was into this for like a month that I saw enough long distance observations that just sold me. There was things that were being seen that should not be able to be seen on a globe, and the only explanation that there was for the globe Earth is that it was like some type of mirage. And I've seen mirages, I know what mirages look like, and I'm like, that's not a mirage, that's actually there. Now I can agree that there's a thing called refraction that makes the image be a little bit distorted. The claim for that image to be loomed up, to be observed on like your field of view, right? It just doesn't make sense to me. And that was my first, my first steps to flat Earth. And now we're a little bit more advanced. There's a lot better proofs, which we'll get into in a little bit later. But yeah, that's my whole little story of flat Earth and how I got into it.
I mean, awesome. We'd love to have you here, Jose.
Yeah,
and so that's
you guys
great.
are serious too. It's nice to be able to know that. Like, I was worried that we were just going to get a bunch of trolls who were going to come in and just say some stupid bullshit. So it's nice to know that you're like, you're actually like you're a reasonable human being, and you're actually being like someone in the chat is like, this guy sounds legit. Like you actually, it's nice to know that we're not just like getting. We had a guy come in recently who was like pretending to be an incel, and he just like went off on Kayla, and it was just he was trolling. So we thought,
I like you actually have the as well to back it up. Like you were in space and like into researching scientists already, so that's actually really cool to know.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something that's very interesting about flat earthers, at least in our community, in our Discord. I guarantee you that most of the people that go in there that believe in the globe don't know the globe, and I guarantee you that most of us know the globe in and out way better because we came from that side. Like we were actually nerds for the globe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we're not retarded. Like you have to like I know flat Earth sounds insane.
Oh, we don't think you're retarded.
No, I know.
No, he's just.
I'm just saying for people that believe that. Like I'm not generalizing you guys, but like most people will go out and be like flat earthers are retarded. Or I don't know if you've seen that late interview with Scott Kelly, the astronaut. They asked him, what do you have to say to flat earthers? And he says that he doesn't even deal with these people because they're special kinds of people. So like there's that stigma of flat earthers being retarded. If I understand you guys don't feel that way, but the majority do.
Okay.
See, I didn't know if I thought you guys were necessarily retarded or anything, but I thought like maybe it's a LARP. Like there's no way because it just sounds so bizarre and out there that it was a LARP, you know?
Yeah, we get that a lot, buddy. We get that a lot.
I was going to say.
Yeah, quite a lot. I mean, the guys that you got here at the moment from the 24 Discord server, we speak to people all the time. Quite a lot of those people will come in, and their main aim is to troll and ridicule. Because it's the flat Earth, right? We're absolutely retarded and backwards, of course. So we get it. We do understand that.
Have you guys seen like a rise in people joining and stuff since I guess flat Earth is? You guys said that some of you guys have been involved for over 4 years, so I'm guessing. I mean, it's just now becoming like this mainstream, like kind of. I don't want to call it a meme, you know, but that's what the mainstream media and Reddits and things like that are spinning it to be. And so have you guys seen a lot of like an influx of joins since then?
Yeah, I mean, again, just going back to the server, we have so many people joining on an hourly basis. We've just started a new one, the 2.0 from the 24/7 Flat Earth. But ultimately, yeah, we see it growing on a daily basis because we're live streaming as well. We have a lot of people brought in, and there's a lot of other Flat Earth content providers out there on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all of these places where you can see that the movement, whatever you want to call it, is definitely growing.
Yeah, just to put that in.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to put that in context, as Jedi just mentioned, we've got this new server. I think we started it last Friday, was it? Was it a week ago?
Yeah, over the weekend.
And there's more than 1,000 members already, so it's,
wow.
How many servers can get 1,000 members in a week?
I think
that's crazy, man.
I think it's almost the Trump effect, right? Or the Streisand effect, where for every one person that comes into Ridicule, you have one person that comes in that says, "Oh, I'm actually interested. I'm glad I found out about this." So it's kind of like a growing effect.
Yeah, and we've had loads of people. Sorry, go ahead, John.
No, I just want to ask: is the goal of the server to educate, or is it more so just to have a discussion with people that are already believing, or are you like actively trying to I don't want to say convince, but I guess educate people and try to bring them in?
A little bit of both, really.
I think our position is this. Like, this is the position of the server. What most of us say, when someone comes in, we're not here to convince you. We're here to present information that we came across. It is really up to you to research the information we're presenting and come to your own conclusion. That's our goal. Our goal isn't to indoctrinate people. Our goal isn't to make you believers, because Flat Earth is actually against that. Because in our position is that's where we are. That's why we are where we are, because a lot of the stuff was indoctrinated to us through the school system. Things were just taught as fact to us, never presented a different argument. So we've been indoctrinated in this worldview. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to return it back and be like, oh, we're going to indoctrinate people in the flat earth. We're just presenting what we've came across, and people are, eventually going to decide whether they've researched further into it and maybe figure it out for themselves, or just not do anything with it. It's really up to them.
So I feel like, thank you for explaining that, but I feel like Flat Earth kind of really took off, especially here on the West Coast, when I believe the moment not too long ago when Tesla decided to launch the Roadster into space. And from that moment on, that was kind of when you were watching the chat that was going on, and you saw people say something about Flat Earth at least every other second as the video was going on. So I'm sure, I just wanted to ask you guys if you guys remember that moment, if you guys watched that video happen, and your take on it, because I specifically remember a moment, a very long moment for a couple minutes or possibly a half hour longer, where the feed legitimately cut out and you couldn't see anything. So I was curious if you guys remember that and your take on that whole experience.
Yeah, I was one of the members in there actually trying to debate people. You might have seen me in there, who knows? But I was in that chat while I was live, and we were also trying to find things to deconstruct that whole video, like live. We actually have a couple members on our server that downloaded the original video, and we did some research, and it turns out that SpaceX did something really interesting on YouTube. They were able to go back and edit their live video, which is impossible for anyone to do on YouTube. So they did edit some stuff out, and we actually still have the original. We downloaded it like as it was published within a couple of minutes, and then like the next day later, they actually went back, kept their views, kept everything, but they re-edited a couple parts of it. I think they took like 7 seconds off of it, which is really interesting because what kind of pull would SpaceX have to have with YouTube to be above every other YouTuber, and they can do something that no other YouTube can do? It's something to question.
Well, there's
Well, I think
actually
YouTube
something
is-
interesting with the. I was looking into this before because I was looking into getting in some shares in SpaceX. Do you know the only way you can get shares in SpaceX? Does anyone
go
know?
on. No,
You
no
have to
clue.
buy shares in Alphabet. Now, who does Alphabet own?
No clue.
Alphabet owns Google.
Oh,
Who
okay.
owns YouTube? Google.
Oh, okay.
So they're not independent at all. The only way you can buy shares in SpaceX is through buying shares in Alphabet.
Okay, that's a
Wow.
hot take for sure. That's like definitely interesting to know. And
Hmm.
earlier, I know you guys mentioned when YouTube. I guess so. Does YouTube classify what you guys put out as conspiracy or the information on flat Earth as conspiracy theory videos? Because I know they recently they stopped putting the conspiracy videos in recommended, right?
Yeah, a good couple of months ago, I say a good couple of months, the end of last year, Google, YouTube announced that they were going to be, putting a restriction on the amount of fake news. Some of the things that were mentioned were things like vaccines, flat Earth, and a couple of other things. Just throwing all of these things in together because that's bad, right? Ultimately, now what will happen is when you search on YouTube and you put the phrase flat Earth, what will happen is basically what happened for the first 4, 5, 6 pages is you'll just get ridiculous flat Earth claims or debunk videos. 5 reasons to debunk flat Earth and this, that, and the other. Not content that's really provided by true flat Earthers, I would say.
Yeah.
So you'll come across that basic clickbait. It's kind of reassuring to see reams and reams of pages and recommendations, showing that the flat Earth can be debunked in, one proof or this, that, and the other. So it's just clickbait primarily, as opposed to say this time last year where you put flat Earth into the search and you would primarily start getting, good content providers who were talking about flat Earth, Eric Bay, ODD Reality, to name but a few. But yeah, there is definitely something going on with the algorithms and the search engine. There's also been, as the movement's been going and growing stronger, there's obviously been, media straw men built up. There's a huge straw man, what we call a gatekeeper, which is called the Flat Earth Society. Now, the Flat Earth Society are the people that make the claim that the Earth is a spinning disk and it's rising at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's how we have gravity, but space still exists and all this type of stuff. They make a lot of, straw men claims. And so when people go there, they have a good laugh. They pull the argument down in about 5 seconds and carry on with their day thinking that the Flat Earth is completely ridiculous. So we have things to deal with as well.
Sorry to interrupt real quick, but I have a quick favor to ask of you. Do you mind posting your YouTube or Twitch channel? We have a lot of people on our server that want to watch your Twitch,
Okay, I'll just put it in the general chat. It's twitch.tv/NEET_life. And to touch on that censorship, like that is extremely deadly or dangerous to any cause, really. And I can only speak on it from we just had the drug users on here before this. We did an interview with them, and just something from that is when you Google like harm reduction things, like how to safely use a drug or something. Now, the only thing that comes up on Google is just pages and pages of these rehabs, these paid centers for people. So it's almost like that censorship is in a way like for multiple causes doing more harm than good, because these are people that are already going to use the drugs or whatever they're doing regardless, and they're trying to look to Google for information or Reddit or anything, and all they can find is these pages just telling you to go to rehab, or in your case, you're looking up these things you're trying to get information on flat Earth and you're finding just this bullshit or debunking videos, and it's almost like the cards are stacked against you, against actually spreading information. Even I think censorship of any kind, especially that, is extremely dangerous.
What's quite interesting is I was just looking up because Jose recommended looking up Eric Dubay's History of the Flat Earth. Now, when you type in specifically with no other words, Eric Dubay, The History of Flat Earth, which is the name of the video, it's like the 8th or 9th link.
Yeah.
Every link above it is why history, why flat Earth is retarded. And then the next one is like explaining the flat Earth and brackets obviously debunking it. And then and it's like video, and eventually you get to the exact thing you typed, and you just think, well, how is the algorithm giving me a bunch of stuff I didn't type way before the thing I typed?
It's just an insane amount of censorship. Like, it's just happening so much now. It's like we're getting into that position where are these I don't want to call them outlets of information, just like search engines, like Google as a whole, are they getting into a position where they're kind of able to choose what you see now, where it's not this freedom of information that the internet should be, and it's more so people are getting indoctrinated, because even if they want to see something else, obviously you just said it, the first 8 results had nothing to do with what you actually wanted to see, and instead it was just information shitting on that. So it's almost like they're in a position now where they're choosing what is fact and what is reality.
See, the thing is, at the end of the day, I think most flat earthers would agree with me when I say this, is if they're hiding it, why don't they just prove it? Why don't they just prove the spinning ball? Why don't they just give us the empirical scientific evidence, which is something that we'll get into later? Why can't they just come out and give videos that just prove that the Earth is a ball? They can't do that. They have to pour storm.
Okay, I just want to ask a question from the chat really quick. There's a question that just says, what does the flat Earth even change about the world? I guess I sort of on that page, like, what does it change about, like, because I'll say, like, you want everyone to believe it. What if everyone does believe it? Like, what actually changes?
Well, I can answer that real quick if you like. This is my opinion, by the way. My opinion is that it changes your whole worldview, because if you believe in the heliocentric model, you're going to have to believe in evolution. Evolution makes you believe that you came from a big bang and that, we came from slime. And it kind of gives people a very atheistic, nihilistic worldview where nothing matters, YOLO, you only live once type of deal. So people are not interested in finding anything else because everything's been given to them. Now, what that would change, in my opinion, is if everyone knew that, this place might be even created, it might give rise to the idea that this place has some intelligent design behind it. Now, that's one of the reasons why it would change. Another thing that would change would have to be just the structure, the way everything's ran, because if people are lying to us at the very top, that structure is going to have to change, right? It will. I see change coming if they ever get exposed. So there could be a lot of change, but if will your daily life change? Will you still go to work? Will you still have to do everything the same? Yes, of course. But at least you'll know the true reality of where you might live,
There's like a lot of crossover between Christianity and flat earthers as well. Like, I noticed you mentioned just intelligent design. Like, is that a big crossover or is that not a big crossover?
I think it is. I'm not Christian. I'm not religious, but I definitely believe in intelligent design. But there happens to be a lot of Christians in Flat Earth because their book really supports an immovable stationary Earth with like pillars, dome over. It makes a lot of sense. But I'm not religious and I don't really follow any religious texts. But I definitely do believe that there's some intelligent design to this nature, this world we live in.
Yeah, I think.
Can I add in?
I think that the Sorry, go ahead, philosopher. But I want to add something after.
I was gonna piggyback off of the religious, spiritual side of it, because it does bring in a lot of Christians, but it also brings a lot of other people from other religions, and it also opens up the idea of other religions and spiritualities as well. Like myself, I was Christian, but since the Flat Earth has come about, I've looked into other religions and other spiritual texts and stuff that also teach a flat Earth, like Hinduism and Buddhism, Jainism. They all show that the Earth is flat in their religious texts as well. And I actually I now err more on the side of Hinduism than anything, but their flat Earth is called Bhumandala. That's the name of the Earth for them. It's like in Norse mythology, the Earth is called Midgard, but it's all still flat in all other religions. Sorry, go ahead, Crypto.
I mean, you more or less said what I was going to say, but I'll just I'll answer the question a bit more directly. Is there a crossover between flat Earth and Christianity? I would say that that's not a wide enough question. Is there a crossover between believing in, say, a deistic or a theistic worldview and flat Earth? Yes. That's what I would say yes to. I wouldn't say yes to specifically Christianity. Myself, I'm a deist, and I think virtually all flat earthers are either deistic or theistic in some regard. Very, very few atheists, but I wouldn't say that there is a huge amount that are specifically Christian.
If I could answer a little bit as well, back to the, we get this asked on the Discord server, what would they gain? Why would they lie? I mean, where has this lie come from? We've kind of, looked at a little bit of religion. The majority, if not all, of ancient cultures and religions to the flat
Gotta
space.
shout out Faded Console. He's our only subscriber, so I gotta shout him out. He said, "I just woke up. I'm here." Shouts out to you, Faded Console.
Much fucking
Shouts
love,
out.
buddy.
Sorry to interrupt you, but shouts out.
Yo, is Mid IHC with you guys, by the way?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay, do you guys want him up here?
Yes, please.
You
Okay,
guys
awesome.
are incredibly articulate for who I thought you were gonna be. Like, this is like, I'm kind of getting convinced. Like, you don't do this.
No, so I'm glad that you guys came like so well prepared. It is nice. Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of us were worried that it was going to be just like some like YouTube, just be like, watch the YouTube video. The fact that you guys all have different perspectives as well is pretty fucking great. I'm not gonna lie. I'm interested how you connected it to fucking Norse mythology and like Buddhism and shit as well, though, because it's like part of me just goes like, is what about the picture of the blue dot or whatever? Like, is that not considered any evidence at all? It's like the stream of light with the blue dot, and it's supposed to be Earth floating in like the whatever the fuck. Like,
No.
Can I do this one?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
I love
please.
talking about images.
Okay, go on.
Because I try and bash this into people's heads all the time when they're like, we get these like really hardened globers come in, and it doesn't matter what you say to them, they just, there's no way that it's flat, sort of thing. And so I had this discussion yesterday with a couple of the guys, and they were basically making the argument that if you see something enough, then it becomes true. But then this is an argument I always say against it is, well, if I give you a picture of an orc from Lord of the Rings, do orcs exist in reality? Of course, you would say, well, no, it's just a film, right? And then, so then Jose gives you a picture of orcs, and then FE Jedi gives you a picture of orcs. At what point is us giving you pictures of orcs making orcs real?
True. I mean,
it's like, but part of me's just like, damn, like, because these scientific people, it's like so much of what they're doing has to do with the search of truth. I just feel like it's like, how meaningless is your job if all you like Carl Sagan, right? Like, I mean, it's like part of me that's like it's appealing to human nature, but part of me's just like, damn, boy, how do you have a whole career doing some shit that's just complete fucking lies and not just feel super not fulfilled? You're
Actors, man.
But maybe he doesn't think it's a lie as well. I think this is the thing, is that we get this other question, which is, wouldn't look like tens of thousands of people have to be in on the lie? No, I think the vast majority. I mean, you guys believe that you live on a globe, and maybe some of you have never even really thought about it. You just thought, well, that's what I was taught, so it's probably true, whatever. And you even see that attitude manifesting in some of the questions, where like, how does it affect me? So it's an extension of that attitude of, yeah, it's probably a globe, who cares, whatever. So maybe Carl Sagan believed it, who knows? But he is just a presenter of a TV show at the end of the day. I don't know what qualifications he's got, but someone like Bill Nye, he's an engineer. Like, what would he really know? Has he ever been to space to check out what it looks like? No, he's just an engineer. So how would he have any special knowledge that anyone here doesn't have?
What about there's this clip that I'm sure you guys are aware of. It's from the Flat Earther convention, I think, and where the guy misproves his own theory, right? Where he sets up the lights, and I'm sure that's like a video that gets brought up a lot in your Discord. Maybe it's
Yeah, I think you're talking about the one where the guy shines a light and he goes, interesting. Is that the one? Yeah, that's actually I know those people, and
Is
here's
that
how it went.
parody, or-
It's not so much a parody. It was just the people that did the video, the producer, literally cuts and pastes things how he wants it and skews it to make it look like a certain way for the viewers, right? Now, here's the thing. The story behind that is he didn't disprove anything. What happened was he was supposed to go do a laser test, and he had these 3 big old, type of wood things with holes in it, right? And the point was to get them with enough space and distance. So, like, if the Earth was curved, there's no way the light should be able to shine through all 3 holes, right? Now, he had a laser with this, but what happened was right before the test, he actually melted the collimator on the laser, which made the laser, invalid to be used. So he used a flashlight. Now, if you're familiar with how light works and flashlights and beam divergence and all that, you'll know that a flashlight's beam divergence and its potensity of the light will diffuse, and it was actually not strong enough to make it through any of the holes. So what happened was when he raised it up, they were able to see it, but when he brought it down, the light wasn't able to pass through all 3 holes. Now, they took that as in he debunked himself, but in reality, it was an inconclusive test. And the producer knew this, but they painted it in a way where it's like he debunked himself.
I just know that I just brought that up because that's one of the videos that like everyone uses to like, oh, look at this guy, he's shit on himself, basically, like he disproved his own theory.
Yeah, and it's the same with the gyroscope in that same video. I don't know if you saw the whole thing. There's a man in there that claimed that something about 15 degrees per hour, and then they got a quote where it's like, oh yeah, we measured 15 degrees per hour. That's a problem because we know that like the globe Earth model is supposed to, have axial rotation, and it's supposed to be the sun's supposed to move about 15
So I got to interrupt really quick. Faded Console just gifted 5 tier 1 subs to the people in the audience. Damn, this boy based as hell, boy. I swear to God, boy.
Yo, I'm gonna suck your wiener.
Oh, you got my premium snap now,
Yeah, I will
Faded
too.
Console.
I will
Sorry to
too.
interrupt, but you got
I
my
love
premium
that.
snap, boy. Premium snap for this boy.
I mean, I
do
probably
mind
won't,
me
but
do
you
mind
guys
me
feel free to-
interjecting quickly, Crypto, Jose, and you guys. One quick question: did you guys touch on what Mother Hubbard was? I was on a call just now, unfortunately. What does Mother Hubbard have to do with? Because someone asked me to throw that on the roll. Flat Earthers.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh no,
Yeah,
just ignore that. That's just me I'm just a bit weird sometimes.
Now, when you said Hubbard, were you referencing the Scientologist?
No,
L. Ron Hubbard.
no. I was just saying Mother Hubbard because I didn't want to swear. So it's just like someone get me a roll, and I thought I'll swear, and then I thought,
well, you guys
my
are
server, I
flattered
can't
for
swear.
Mother Hubbards now, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it's nothing to do with L. Ron Hubbard. Sorry.
Okay, but back to what Jose was saying.
Yeah, Jose.
So the gyro video.
Yeah, the gyro. So like the man made said something about 15 degrees per hour, and they took that in context that he had the gyro in his hand. Like they made it seem like this man literally proved the 15 degrees per hour, shift of the Earth's rotation with this gyro. Now we know this person too. This is from our Flat Earth community. What happened was this other man. It wasn't never in Bob's hand. That's the guy's name, Bob Nodell. It was never in his hands. He commented on something and misquoted it, misspoke. Now, what really happened is the owner of that gyro actually recorded about 7.5 degrees per hour, which would mean that the Earth is spinning twice as slow. Because it's 7.5 plus 7.5 is 15 degrees. So that means the measurement they got was actually half the speed. So there is some movement, but now there's a big debate whether it's an ether. I don't know if you're aware of that. Back in the days, they used to believe in this kind of like movement of the ether, and that's another possibility that'd be causing that. But to be honest, no gyroscope test is really any scientific test, because if you're familiar with the scientific method, you need to be able to manipulate the cause to know, if to have that cause and effect relationship. Now, tests don't do that. All they do is infer data, and then you correlate the data to what you want it to be, right? It's not really.
I gotta cut in again. This boy's gifting more subs. Faded Console throwing Sludgy a sub. This boy is balling out so hard in our channel right now. Thank you so much, homie. Sorry to interrupt, man. I gotta shout him out though.
Yeah,
this is a real one. This is a
listening.
real one in the chat. He the VIP. Oh goddamn.
So with the gyro, he had him chain It's so basically all of it has been like a slop operation. Like anytime you guys have got involved with anything, it's something has been taken out of context and spun away that's made to actually shit on your cause.
That's what they tend to do, just twisting the truth. Like when you get some real facts in that bitch, it's like, okay, but yeah.
Yeah, interesting enough, like anyone that's familiar with like the topic of like how gyroscopes work and all that, they will know that that video is complete garbage. But for an average viewer that isn't familiar with how gyroscope works or how like what 15 degrees per hour is to them, that's going to be like, wow, they debunked flat Earth, you know. But it's the real people that actually are familiar with these instruments and how they work that can be like that's bullshit, because no one's ever proved motion on the Earth. No one. There was a bunch of experiments in the late 1800s to try to prove that. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Michelson-Morley experiment. It's literally an interferometer where like they try to find a phase shift of light dependent on the movement of the Earth, and they actually didn't find any. But what they did prove was the ether. But now then there was this big problem, because if the ether existed, then it proved that the Earth wasn't moving. So in the scientific community in the late 1800s, 1900s, they went with the path with, well, the Earth has to be moving, so the ether must not exist. You know, so that's the position of mainstream science that they've taken. Now we have this theory called the general theory of relativity, you know, and special relativity, which is what the mainstream science now, you know, it evolved from like those tests, all these theories, you know.
Yeah, I just thought I wanted to add on to that just to make it crystal clear. This is what the theory was there to do, was to discard the ether. It doesn't just ignore it or hope it goes away. It philosophically discards the ether, which it has no proof. You know, it has no proof. That the test found the ether, and they went, "Nah, we'll just discard it. We'll just come up with a framework that doesn't include it." So it's literally ignoring the elephant in the room.
So wouldn't this all get squashed if we could just fund a big ass spaceship to go up and be like, pop screenshot, got your ass? Like,
Isn't there a guy
How
that
hard
does
do you
that tries to do that? Like,
Some dude in the chat
I'm
said
sure that
some
sounds
shit
so
about
ignorant
that.
of me, but like
Faded
that sounds.
console trying to fund a spaceship.
Well, yeah, there's a guy named Mad Mike. I'm sure that's the guy you're talking about. The
that
one that
guy's a
launched
troll, right?
Yeah, he launched stuff in a rocket and it went up to like 18,000 feet, which is not even higher than a plane.
Yeah.
No, but I just mean like actually, like, you know, Kyrie Irving's a flat earther. Be like, yo, bro, like I know
Yes,
SpaceX
bro.
is eventually gonna do like a commercial space flight. I just be like, bro, like put up the money and just prove this shit once and for
Well,
all.
the problem is just to get into past a certain altitude, you need permission. That's the problem. See, like all these ideas of like funding something, like it could all be stopped because we need to essentially ask for permission just to go to a certain altitude. There's even permission just to send high altitude balloons now. Just look at the new stipulations for NOAA. They actually require for you to actually go and get approved before you do any of these
I
things.
was about to say, don't weather balloons go to space?
They reach up to
High
about
altitude balloons.
2
They go
miles.
to-
Go ahead, FJ, go ahead.
No, yeah, they're just high altitude balloons. They just go high up to the atmosphere. I wanted to cut in because you're talking about two subjects that are close to flat Earth's heart. You know, how high do you have to be before you see the curvature of the Earth and let's go to space?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter how high you go. We've got high altitude balloon footage of 135,000 feet that show an eye level horizon and an Earth extending into the distance, no curvature to be seen. So how high do you think you need to go? Ultimately, there are curve calculators out there. We're on the ball with definite dimensions. We can map the hell out of it and figure out the drop value between point A and point B. The thing is, you should be able to see curvature from the Earth and a relative, using high-powered optical equipment. There should be a prediction of things you shouldn't be able to see because of that curve of the Earth. But ultimately, we can talk about space. Why would we need to go to space? What is space? It's this controlled place, right? It's a place where there's other planets and the moon being a rock and the sun being some kind of nuclear furnace and blah, blah.
I do have a question about that. What do you guys feel about other planets? Do they just not exist, or are they just in the sky?
Right, yeah. So other planets, no. Other planets don't exist because this Earth isn't a planet. That cosmology that I told you about, like Mars being a planet due to being a super gas giant and the sun, like I said, being in that nuclear furnace, is absolute bollocks. It doesn't exist.
What are they then? Because I literally just saw Saturn and Venus.
Yes, well, ultimately, to me, you and everybody else down here, if we use our eyes or a telescope or high power, because we're looking at it, we can't reach out. And everything that you've been told about those lights in the sky, you've been taught. Everybody's been taught. We've all been indoctrinated into the system, whether that be educational, propaganda, films, TVs, what have you. It's that kind of cultural thing. Space story about it. But ultimately, me, you, and everybody else will only ever be able to see it.
So what is it? I mean, Because I mean, definitely, if you're looking through a telescope, you can definitely see a planet. I mean, like, so what is it? What to you guys? What is the moon? What shape is the moon? Is the moon like a big potato chip, or?
Well, here's the thing. Like when it comes to what planets are, the moon, like no one's denying that we can't see them. Like we're not like retarded, you know. We don't think like, oh, if I pull out a telescope right now in my backyard, I don't think the moon's there or the sun or the stars or the planets. No, we see everything the same as any other person. It's just we've been sold the idea that they're planets and that we're planets and that they're terraform and they're just like us and that they're spherical. To be honest, there's no way to even determine that they're spherical by looking with an optic, because when you look through a telescope, that's a monoscope, meaning that you have no depth perception. That means you cannot perceive 3D, a 3D shape with one eye. You only see one side of it. Now, whether they're globe, sphere, flat, whatever shape they are, it doesn't really have no bearing, because in the flat Earth cosmology, it's not like the planets and the Earth are on space. This is going to be the part that probably makes you guys like hate flat Earth, you know, because this is the part that
no, we wouldn't hate anyone.
Well, this is the part that was hard for me to get to flat Earth, because space isn't what we've been taught. Like everything is within the system, and those things that you observe in the sky are all within the system. They're not like trillions of billions of light years away. Now, planets, yeah, we refer to them as wandering stars, and that's what the ancients referred to them. Whether they're terra forma, whether they're just like Earth, that's actually a non sequitur fallacy, because we haven't proven this place to be a planet unless you believe in every NASA space agency that's been to space. If you believe in that, then I can understand why you would have that train of thought. But if you're coming from the perspective of like, hey, what have we proved on Earth? We haven't proven the Earth to be a planet or those things to be the X amount of distance that they claim they are. And we don't even know if they're terraformal, meaning you can't land on them. Like, for all we know, it can just be a light in the sky, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, when observed through a telescope, you can definitely see like surface on the moon. Like, so I guess what if we're not a sphere, is the moon a sphere? Or no? Or what do you guys, I want to know what you guys feel about what the moon is.
Ultimately, when we're talking about what lights in the sky are, we don't know. And that's because none of us can go there and test it out. We can't go to the moon. We can't bring.
So was the moon landing faked?
Yeah.
100%.
I'm just going to add this, and I'll let everybody else jump in. Every single story you've been told about space, satellites, international space stations, moon landings, remote controlled cars on Mars, pictures from outer planets from a satellite or a probe that's been slungshot around Mars through an asteroid field to give you pictures. All of these stories about space are not true, because space fundamentally can't exist. It breaks natural laws. You can't have gas pressure without a container, which within the heliocentric is exactly what we've got. We've got gas pressure, atmosphere here, uncontained from the vacuum of space. Second law of thermodynamics will dictate that busy energy, air pressure, atmosphere system will disperse into the space available. It's akin to constructing a vacuum chamber, opening the door and watching all the air rush in, because it's now uncontained. So what we've also got here is we're going to start going into a little bit of science, but what we've got is something that we can't demonstrate. In the heliocentric model, this spinning ball with atmosphere attached, you can't demonstrate your necessary antecedent for gas pressure. In every single demonstration, you require a container for gas pressure, whether it be in a tire, whether it be in your Coke can or just deodorant can, whether it be in an oxygen tank that a scuba diver takes swimming. You need a container. Earlier I said you needed to construct the vacuum. Yeah, you need to contain one pressure from another. In the heliocentric model, we don't have a container, and we do not have a demonstration of the necessary antecedent, which would be gravity.
So just to touch back on the moon, as I lived in Alaska, and you can literally see the tides like coming in and out, and just the massive effect they have on the Earth. What is a tide then? If or is that just another thing that you guys chalk up to? Oh, we don't know what it is. So,
well, I love talking about the moon. I'll be happy to talk about the moon landings, but we can do the tides first if you want.
Yes, please.
Did you know? So you say you live in Alaska. I grew up by the sea as well. I'm sure a few other people here have as well. Obviously, tides are quite a significant part of how the seas and the oceans work.
Yeah, very noticeable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. There's parts of South Essex, where I'm originally from, North Kent as well, where you can literally walk from one county to another when the tide goes out. So
yeah, that's how Alaska is.
Yeah,
the
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like
literally an entire bay that had water in it will be a mud flat at that point. So
yeah. So how does that compare to a Great Lake? do Great Lakes have tides? The answer is, I think, no. When you look this up on Google, it'll say they have like an inch of tide.
I think because I also spend a lot of time in Michigan, and I do believe that the Great Lakes can be seen having tides there. But I mean, the whole reason that the tide works based on the moon is because the water has somewhere to go, whereas the Great Lake, where is it really moving? You know?
Sure, but then this is the thing. You taking it back to a scientific perspective, the observations are very different, aren't they? So to give the same cause to two very different observations is, I mean, that's fallacious. You're not seeing the same thing. And, without going into gravity, this is another problem with gravity. You have multiple observations chalked up to one single cause, and neither of them have an experiment that you can actually verify the cause of. The cause for, sorry. So, yeah, I don't want to go into all of that really, but it's interesting because you've got these huge tides on the oceans and the seas, and these barely noticeable tides that I actually think don't exist on Great Lakes. Now, when I say they don't exist, what I mean is that yes, weather can affect the lakes. There's other atmospheric effects, but the moon's gravity, which is or just gravity generally, which is considered the cause of tides, I think fundamentally doesn't match observation.
All right, but so you, I can understand what you're saying. So, but what is the tide or anything like that? Like, so that's something like when I present you with the moon or the other planets, you can say, oh well, we can't touch them, we can't see them. There's no physical evidence, and I can accept that as an answer. But with the tide, that you guys just simply have no answer for that. Then
and there's behind
tide is physical evidence. Like the tide is clear.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's clear, physical, measurable
exactly.
evidence.
Yeah, but was it measured? What is it evidence of?
Was evidence of something gravitationally moving the water levels, because it's not that there's an increase in water, because we can't agree that matter is being created. There's only a set amount of water within the ocean, so it would have to be gravity moving it, because gravity is a set.
Unless someone's
we know how water behaves physically, right? Like the way water fits into its
that's
container.
A rotation, though. Like, how do we know for sure it's a mass like pulling it? But
that's how gravity works according to our physics model. We know that it's
but then there's a whole new can of worms if we're talking about gravity, I'm sure.
But it's like,
that's why I didn't want to.
But it's like, well, how does your physics model explain that? Because they can explain, I feel like, tides through our physics model quite well.
Well, why are there two why are there two tides per day if there's only one moon?
In some places there are 6.
Ooh, well, because the moon's on one side of the Earth and the other, so it's like it's low
I mean,
tide,
because
high
people
tide.
that believe the Earth is a globe also believe it's tilted on an axis, so that explains that.
Not really. You see, you've got tides on opposite side of the supposed globe, and you're saying that the moon causes the tide. Well, which one is the moon causing, and what's causing the other one?
Man, I smoke Reggie on the moon, boy. I swear.
No. See, that's the thing is that's the things that we don't know, and that's why we like to have you guys on here to like.
Yeah. But I mean, but your only evidence is.
I do have to keep it real with you. Like there is like an effect of what they say gravity from another mass to the pulled liquids that pulled stuff. You know, if you'd let me finish. The thing is that's why like on these full moons and stuff that the people with like bipolar tendencies, it's fucking with the fluids in their body, and like it's like shifting different things, and they fucking flip out. So like that's a big thing behind it too. But then
I don't think any. Sorry, I've got to think.
No, Bet's bipolar, by the way, so he's speaking from experience.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't think any flat earther would deny that the moon has some kind of effect on the Earth. We just, it's just a lot of correlation.
But how would it have that effect? If everything is just in like sitting in the sky, so if it has an effect, is the moon just like this object that just like fucking spins around our disk?
What is the moon?
We live in a very electrodynamic environment. Yeah, we've got compasses they seem to point north. We seem to have energy ley lines. All of these type of electrodynamic phenomena. Lightning, for example, electrodynamic potential rising every meter. These types of things. So we obviously live within this electrodynamic environment. Maybe these lights in the sky, they impart energy differently. And I'm talking about the sun and the moon, the lights in the sky, which appear the same kind of size, even though one of them is supposedly 400 times further away and 400 times bigger. But ultimately they could, as they appear to be the same size. They also appear to be different. No one's denying that there may be some kind of connection or correlation between the energy output of the sun and the moon, which is related to the tides. I mean, we're talking about predominantly, as Crypto was pointing out, the salty seas, not the lakes, not the clear waters, the salty seas. And we should understand what happens to electrodynamics in salty solution, for example. So there could be an electrodynamic energy system at play. We obviously live within a very complicated environment. We've got seasonal cycles, we've got day cycles, we've got constellations. We've obviously got energy being inputted into the system primarily by the sun and the moon. So maybe this is the cause of tides. It doesn't have to be gravity, mass attracting mass. You can talk about gravity if you want to. I'll just quickly say this, just so we're all on the same page. Gravity, mass attracting mass was superseded in 1915 in favour of Einstein's general relativity. Now, the guy who abandoned the ether, they also abandoned this gravity because it didn't fit their model, this mass attracting mass, this magic at a distance. Now, the scientific rhetoric is the bending and warping of space-time. This is based on a presupposition. Both of these gravitational ideas are based upon a presupposition. Mass attracting mass, working on the presupposition that the Earth is already a ball, already existing in space, and gravity is the course why we're standing on the floor. Even got people standing antipodal to us in Australia. The general relativity is starting on the presupposition that the Earth is already a ball and we're in space, and this ball of mass is sitting and bending and warping the fabric of space-time, which is how we observe gravity. Both of these ideas have not got any scientific evidence or experiment to prove them.
They're theories. Yes, they are theories.
Yeah, but no scientific proof.
Can we go slightly into the moon landings? Because I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah, definitely. That was a hot take, boy. When I asked about the moon, so I definitely, that's like base level conspiracy theory, or what people would call base level conspiracy. That's like that's where you start, right? That's the first. Do you guys have a pill? Do you have like the flat pill?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
It's just like really flat. It's like
let's get flat pilled, boy.
It's like a nanometer thick, but it's really like long.
The flat pill,
like a tablet.
It's a flow.
Yeah.
Flow.
You just have to take one a day.
Like all the other like incels had the black pill. You guys got the fucking the Zan pill, dude.
Yeah.
Red.
I mean, it
red
is a
pill,
red.
blue-
It is a red pill. I just wanted to a lot of people say flat Earth is the ultimate red pill. So you kind of got to work your way up from the moon landing. You know, you get into yeah.
So you guys are like top tier red pill. Okay, the flat pill, boy. Hit me with it, Ronald.
The flow up.
I'm trying to find the lunar module because my god, it looks absolutely horrendous, and I'm honestly so
This is actually
amazed.
where I'm on your guys' side. Like, I think that when I look at like the moon landing, like the technology, when they see that calculator nowadays has so much more electronics than the fucking space shuttle, I'm like, boy, you're telling me we could do that when like literally like the fucking tablet I got sitting on my table right now for $60 has like a million more. It's so much more complicated than the fucking space shuttle.
You know, they use Stanley Kubrick to big dick the fucking Russians.
I unironically think that's a way better excuse. Like Stanley Kubrick had the skills, he filmed in he knew how to make space look good, and fuck boy, like a calculator. You're telling me a calculator got sent to the fucking moon,
like what?
I swear to God, but my TM-83 in high school, that shit was way more powerful than a fucking spaceship.
But yeah, I mean, you are right. You are right. But there's so many more problems. Like, yeah, Bino's just posted it. But there's one that's I'm trying to find it at the moment. It's an amazing picture where you can literally see the grey is cut. There it is. Thank you very much, Bino. Look at that shit, right? That grey is clearly cardboard. Clearly cardboard, right? If you look at the rods,
that's a space peanut.
They're obviously curtain rods that they bought at, I don't know, do you have Target or whatever in America? That's not high-tech space equipment that's going to bloody moon, is it? Look at the gold foil. I can buy gold foil in my local shop.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff.
This stuff isn't. It just looks like a 10-year-old science project. That's not going to the moon. And anyone who looks at that and goes, "Yeah, that's legit," there's something wrong with you.
Hold on, is this a picture of it on the moon here? I'm guessing.
Yeah, this is this first one that Bino showed you. Like they're trying to pass that off as this is us taking a picture of the moon, like us on the moon. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So, like that shit, I just like when you actually look into, you're like, excuse me. I mean, like now, but then again, it's like part of me. I do think we could go to space now, so it's like I guess that's definitely the difference.
He
Well, let
said
me
the
ask you a
thickness of the
question then.
walls of that
What
were
about that Red
the
Bull jump
thickness
where
of
the
3
dude like
sheets
went
of
to
foil.
space and he parachuted? Like he did the world's biggest space
Yeah,
jump.
the red.
Like
that does-
didn't
Right,
he see around Earth?
that Red Bull jump. Just quickly, that Red Bull jump. All you got to do is ask Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he will turn around and said, and he did it on TV, that you shouldn't be able to see the curvature of the Earth from Felix Baumgartner's jump. That shit is flat.
Oh, okay.
If you see, if you scroll back a bit, I posted that when we spoke about the grass a minute ago, 5-10 minutes ago. So if you scroll back, it is back there. Like.
Oh, that
Yeah,
picture,
yeah, I
that
saw
picture's
that.
from that jump.
Well, MIDI HC has actually done a hot flat Earth rap remix. If you check that out as well.
Ooh.
Quick
Yeah,
question.
maybe I should become a flat Earth rapper, boy. I got
Question.
some.
16 minutes
I
ago,
wanna-
so
I
28
want to
past.
know what this picture is here with this guy looking at a spaceship and see a wall. Who is that? Is that picture edited? Like, can I get some detail on that? Bino?
What picture?
I think that's
If you scroll up a little bit in general, it's right before the Red Bull jump gif. It's like a guy looking at a spaceship. in
Isn't that
black and
Stanley
white.
Kubrick?
I don't think so. I
no.
don't think that's Stanley Kubrick.
That's some that looks edited, boy.
That's the guy
what
that
I was
cooked
gonna
my
say.
wife.
I didn't know what that was. It looked realistic at all.
Oh, no,
so
it's not
the
Kubrick, is it?
background.
It was the moon landing a cuck story.
Yes, bro.
Yes.
Yes.
The moon landing was the final nail in the coffin. As long as they got everybody to believe that space existed and we're on a ball.
Yeah.
This lie about the Earth being, a ball hasn't really
Damn,
been
well, I
going
think
on
I'm
that
getting-
long.
We got some
I think I'm getting flat pilled.
We got some background. Warren Von Braun.
Yo,
Later.
Kayla, your mic actually sounds like you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
sucking a fart out of a bendy straw.
Holy
Hold on,
shit!
I'll be right
No, it's
So,
bad connection.
did
That's
we-
Von Braun. Yeah, of course.
Did you guys already get a chance to talk about the sun? Because I'm really curious about
What
your
the sun
perspective
is?
on the sun and what is revolving around what in that scenario.
Okay, well, the sun, like the moon, is revolving around and above the flat Earth.
Yes.
Now, the sun seems to revolve. It is smaller and local than what we've been told. So I don't know the size and I don't know the distance. But it appears to circle between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn throughout the year. This is how we get our seasonal cycles. So when it's circling the Tropic of Cancer in the north, it's obviously summer in the north because that's where the sun is closest to, and it's winter in the south. 6 months later, when the sun's across the equator and gone down to the Tropic of Capricorn, it's summer in the south and winter in the north. So obviously how we get our day and night cycles, because, it's quite easy to understand moving a light is going to only shine a light on a certain portion of the surface you're shining it on. So the sun is moving, it only shines its light on the portion of the surface it's able to shine its light upon at any one time. So it goes around in a circle throughout the day and throughout the year constantly. And this is how we get our day and night and seasonal cycles. What it is, I don't know. Again, it's another light in the sky. It's intangible to us. We can't physically go there. We've been told a story about what it is. There's a little bit of pseudoscience to back that up. But ultimately, again, we don't know the size and we don't know the distance. But it's quite hard to understand the sun. You can just observe what it does.
Okay, so going into that, the next question that I had, speaking of that, you kind of touched over it, is that there is really no climate change that much on the equator as opposed to the poles, if from a globe perspective.
Yeah.
So, obviously Antarctica, Arctic Circle, the cold side, and then you have tropical in the middle of what is considered a circular globe Earth. So in your case, how would you explain that climate difference between these locations?
Really simple. So you've got a central north where a compass is pointing, where Polaris is above. Obviously, Polaris is a star in the sky that never moves. So we've got this northern point, which is the Arctic Circle. Now, as I said earlier, the sun only goes as far north as the Tropic of Cancer. That's as far inwards as it goes. So obviously, it doesn't get as close to the Arctic Circle. So it keeps circling in and out between the two tropics. This is, the the heated zone, for example. Obviously, the equator is the hottest. But ultimately, it never goes any far further north than Cancer. It never goes any further south as the Tropic of Capricorn. And this, again, is how we have our Antarctic Circle.
I just want to just
which
interrupt
some
really
would-
quick. There's the guy in the chat's got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pretty good point, I think. He's saying, we guys talk about the ISS yet? Like, what do you guys think about the International Space Station, or like Chris Hadfield, like guys who are like filming themselves floating in the ISS supposedly?
Or what about that lady that just committed fucking cyberspace crimes, boy? Is that not
Yeah.
real? 'Cause
Oh,
space isn't real.
We've actually got a role.
Cuck boy.
We've got a role on our server now. Every time some ridiculous space story comes out, we invent a new role for it. So we've got a space herpes role. I don't know if you guys heard about the space herpes.
No.
Okay, well we can post that up in a bit as well. But yeah, the latest role we've added is space criminal. So if anyone comes in and we just fancy just having a laugh with them, we just give them the space criminal role. But I mean, fundamentally, these stories that they come out with from the ISS, they're to sell you the story of the ISS existing, right? So, do you guys know much about Hegel?
No.
Okay, well, I'll try and be as like basic. I don't know what your audience is normally like, so I don't want to be like going like deep into this stuff. But there's a sorry.
Keep going.
I don't know.
Yeah, like I mean, like basically, we're just building the audience up. The point is just to get some good VODs and good interviews with some deep insight.
Yeah, yeah. You can go as deep as you like. Please, no filter with yourself whatsoever.
Cool. Okay.
That's what we need.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So there's a concept known as the Hegelian dialectic, right, which Hegel came up with, hence why it's named after him. The idea is that you present kind of two options, but that both options actually present a result that you. So you've got the synthesis, the antithesis. Sorry, the thesis, the antithesis, and then the synthesis result. Okay. So, for instance, let's say I wanted to convince you that dragons existed. I wanted FE Crypto Gangster wants to convince everyone that dragons exist. So I might put someone out there saying, yeah, dragon scales exist, you know, and then another person goes out and says dragon breath exists. So your two options are dragon scales exist and dragon breath exists. Well, the synthesis result is that dragons must exist because your two options are scales or breath, right? So obviously it's removing the option of no dragons existing, which is the point of the Hegelian dialectic in the first place. So you see this everywhere in politics, and you also see this in certain other concepts such as the flat Earth. You know, the moon landing is a Hegelian dialectic. Okay, so you've got the moon landing happened versus the moon landing didn't happen, but it was to screw the Russians. Okay, so both of those sides of the Hegelian dialectic have the synthesis result of the Earth's a ball, which is the whole purpose of the Hegelian dialectic in the first place.
Okay. But
It's a little bit like this as well. I mean, it helps prove space. So this is why we get lots of stories about space. You know, did we or did we not go to the moon? That's an object in this place called space that we could possibly get to. Yes or no? Doesn't matter. The place called space already exists. That's what they get you to do. Because half the time you don't realise that you're doing it. It's like the paper that the story is being written on. That paper is space, and you can take that away with the second law of thermodynamics. But ultimately, like I said earlier, they will give you as many stories as they can about this space, because we can all see it and point at lights in the sky. They call the stars, and they've already categorised them for us. But we can all see space, right? It must exist, that dark part in the sky that comes out every night where the moon is, where the sun is. It's just a lot of stories to make this place called space
so what about
tangible.
Interstellar? Are you telling me Interstellar wasn't a true story?
Well, Hollywood often does a better job than NASA. We joke about this all the time. You see like stuff from NASA and you think, fuck man, like the film Gravity looks way more realistic and it's admittedly fake, right?
Yeah.
Who would believe that the film Gravity actually happened? No one. But it looks more real than what NASA produces. So
I
what does
thought
that tell you?
Armageddon was a true story, to be honest. They saved the Earth with that giant black guy. That was fucking based. No, real question. Actually, like on the topic. So, what about what? I'm sure this is you guys are probably pretty used to answering this one. What is the edge of the Earth, boy? Is it an ice wall or what?
Oh, it's a sweet rave party.
That'd be lit.
Well, there's areas you
That's
can't.
a concept.
This is where
That's a concept that you. It's a concept that you can talk about, the limits to the Earth. You mentioned ice wall. This isn't as far as we can go. That's just the container for the waters, the seas, and the oceans. Antarctica is a very mysterious place. There's a treaty that stops people from freely exploring this place, for example.
So you don't think we can ever get over it? Like cross Antarctica? Like
we can get. We've got scientific research stations. You can go down to Antarctica on a cruise ship and go and spend some time with some penguins if you want to. Like I said, the scientific research, there's activity down there, But ultimately, it's just along the coast. What's further inland, we don't know. We're not allowed to freely explore. The place is on lockdown. But we're talking about a very extreme environment. You know, we can't survive there anyway. We'd have to take resources with us. We wouldn't be able to walk there. We'd have to take a lot of fuel with us. We're talking about an extreme environment that could go on for thousands, if not tens, if not maybe hundreds of thousands of miles away from the circle of the sun. So it's only ever going to get colder and colder and colder, and eventually it's going to get dark. You're not going to be able to see the sun anymore because you're too far away from it. It's going to set beyond the horizon. You're never going to see it again. So it's ultimately, this might be outer space, a place where it gets cold and dark, a place where they are actually going. And
so that we couldn't go.
Yeah, we can't go there, buddy.
What about, like, so do you guys believe in, like so aliens just 100% can't exist, right?
Aliens is the secret that NASA wanted you to think they were keeping.
Right.
But the secret is... I guess something really interesting for you to talk about.
What was that?
So for aliens, I'm not saying I believe in aliens or I don't believe in aliens, but I'll tell you what, do you know who Aleister Crowley is?
Yeah.
Okay, so Aleister Crowley is supposed to be he summoned a demon, and when he drew a picture of what he summoned, it looked just like a gray alien. I'll drop a picture of his drawing. So there's this theory that people believe that aliens are actually demonic entities and not coming from outer space, but they're interdimensional. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's one of the theories out there that I've heard kind of thrown around quite often. And I'll drop a picture of the alien he drew. And
the tall gray, right?
Heard that.
Yeah, it looks like a gray alien.
Someone recently saying
I've met a tall gray boy.
Get to the point of like summon something like that and thinking that it would only like cause destruction. And the scientist that was talking about bringing it or whatever, that it would aid in helping civilization.
That alien's got a obese brain, boy. That big watermelon brain.
I don't know. I can't quite subscribe to the alien idea. Like,
no, I definitely believe in aliens. That's why I wanted to get a flat earther's take on aliens.
Boy, you've been
like,
mainlining Chris. Boy, calm down, just play it.
No.
How can you though? Like, I don't know, dude. Like,
how can you what? I mean, because I believe that like space is ever expansive, and so that's how I believe in it. So that's why I wondered like a flat earther's take on it.
Boy,
Interesting though that you use words like belief. I believe X. I believe Y. I mean, I prefer to keep it to what's observable and what's verifiable and what you can actually.
I know, but you guys have literally said a lot of things that you can't prove as well. So you just believe that those things are the way they are.
What we said that we can't prove.
I mean, the tide. You can't prove what the moon is.
Hold on.
What they are.
This is a good one. This is a good. Yeah, this is good. This is where people are being honest. We can't, for example, go to the sun. So even within science, we couldn't find out the cause of that effect. I mean, it's science. The sun is out of the realms of science in this case. So we don't know what the sun is. So we're just being honest when we say we don't know. Tides, we've been told a story that it's because of moon gravity. Now that story has to be thrown to the wayside because the moon is not a rock. Its gravity doesn't exist in the way that we've been told, blah, blah, blah. There's obviously another mechanism. We live in a complex environment. Maybe the sun and moon do have something to do with it in an electrodynamic sense. But ultimately, we don't know. I don't know, but we are just being honest. We haven't said anything that we can't back. We haven't even gotten to proofs of, why we understand the Earth to be flat and stationary yet. Predominantly, we've been talking about space, a place that none of us can verify.
So what do you think? How does the sun move around us then? Or do we not? Do we move? That's what.
Again, I might just be giving you a story because I don't know what the sun is, therefore I don't know how it moves. It may be electrodynamic in nature, it may work on some kind of electromagnetism.
Okay.
It might be quantum locking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure these guys... Do you know what quantum locking is, guys?
No, but I'll look into it real quick. Quantum locking, you said.
Well, I can bring up a video.
Oh, damn, I'm about to die. This hurricane. What about this hurricane that's about to smoke me, boy? What is that?
I have to go for a second, but if you guys could, for the VOD, talk about one of the things that I know for sure is that Antarctica is not accessible to most people, right? There's a lot of military involvement in that area. So I'm sure you guys have something to say about it.
Yeah.
There's about 50 plus nations that signed off on the Antarctic Treaty that pretty much states that no one could independently explore past that 60-degree parallel south. So yeah, it's pretty much locked down. Now we're not stating that people can't pay $10,000 and go like enjoy a little vacation with the penguins at like Myrtle Beach or somewhere out there in Antarctica. What we're claiming is that it's inaccessible to independently explore. And now there's applications to sign up so you can do that, but they're so very difficult to even get by. You can't even take a shit in Antarctica. You have to pick it up. Like it's like there's so much stuff and stipulations with Antarctica. It's pretty impossible to go out there and actually do some research. Like if we wanted to go and explore it, see how far it extends, whether there's a 24-hour sun, it's really hard to get that going, you know.
Okay.
Would someone else like to touch up on it a little bit more? I know I kind of just gave a quick talk about it. Indio, maybe?
Yeah, I'll touch on it. Just like, okay, so the Antarctic Treaty is enforced by the signatory nations. So in the there isn't like an international body that's going to do something to you. It's the nation of which you're a citizen. So the United States has laws which in there. So the United States laws, if you wanted to go to Antarctica, you need an environmental assessment from the EPA. You need a permit from the National Science Foundation. You need approval from the United States State Department. You need an emergency evacuation plan in case you get hurt. You need, what else is it? I can't remember. There's another requirement. But all these requirements combined, I mean, the EPA assessment alone would run you $50,000. And that's just the cost of getting permission to go there. Then if you actually go there, then you have the problem of being there, which is you have no water. There's no rivers, right? So there's no drinkable water. You have to carry everything with you, all your food, all your water, all your energy. And like Jose said, you can't take a shit. You have to pack anything you pack in, you have to pack out, just like a national forest. So you can't just go down there and traipse around and just and there's actually a precedent for somebody going there unauthorized. The guy's name was Jarl Andahoy. He's a Finnish sailor, and he went down there, went down to the ice, took a snowmobile, rode around, and when he came back, he didn't have a ship anymore. His ship was at the bottom of the ocean, and the two people he left there were dead. He got arrested, shipped back to Finland, and then he tried again to go down there to I don't know, to retrieve something. And before he even got there, they knew where he was going, and they arrested him again and shipped him back to Finland. So you can't just go around and traipse into Antarctica and like do what you want. It's a highly restricted area.
I found that super weird because even like those like the hollow Earth theory, that's like one of those things. It's like, and they're like, oh, the entrances are in the Arctic, so you can't even go to them. What do you guys think about the hollow Earth? If you believe in the hollow or the flat Earth?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I haven't seen any evidence for that. I've seen more evidence for a concave Earth than a hollow Earth.
Fair enough.
But
I guess if you believe in a hollow Earth, you have to believe in a globe Earth because if it's going to be hollow, it has to be a globe.
Well, who knows what's under the
concave
floor?
Earth is kind of like a globe, except for you're on the inside of the sphere, upside down or whatever.
Mm.
And the sky is a black sun in the center.
And the other thing is as well is like, you know, the Earth is provably hollow in places. I mean, does that make the whole thing hollow? I don't know, but again, we're talking about things we can't verify. You know, the furthest we've gone down is a few miles. We've 7.6 miles, I believe, that we know of anyway. How are we going to know what's 20 miles, 30 miles, 50 miles, 500 miles down? No one can verify that. So it's just literally just people having opinions on it. So I guess this leads us into the core of the Earth argument. We're often asked, you know, what about the core? You know, the core can't be verified. So how do you know the core exists? Another thing that's interesting about the core, I don't know if you guys know what the Curie point is, what that idea is.
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay. It's the point at which metals lose their natural magnetism. So if you heat any metal up to a certain temperature, it then loses its magnetism. Problem with the core is that it's said to be the magnetic center of the ball while being several thousand degrees above the Curie point of every metal in in the ball. So
mass of it is nickel, from what I understand, is the metal.
Nickel and iron, yeah. So nickel and iron, but nickel, I forget the exact numbers, but it's around sort of 700-800 degrees for one of them.
Really easy. It's not got high
Yeah.
temperatures.
So they're both in the hundreds, or possibly the like low thousands, and the temperature of the center of the core is said to be like 6,000 degrees, which again can't be verified, but it's just the model. So even the model doesn't work. Like the fact that it doesn't even comport to reality isn't even being considered at the moment. The model isn't even internally consistent before it's even being investigated. So yeah, there's all these problems with the core as well.
Why is it so quiet?
My bad. I just sat back down. So so you guys don't believe in that the Earth has a core either, huh?
Well, to have a core, it'd have to be a sphere, wouldn't it? And there's no measurable, observable, or practically used curvature.
So what do you believe is under us then? Or is that just another don't know?
Yeah, again, like Crypto said, we've only dug 7.6 miles down. The Ariana Trench is about the same distance. We've got a limit to go down. We've already discussed, the three fundamental limits of our reality. It's hard to go up, it's hard to go down, and it already looks like Antarctica is an extreme environment that you were dying. You didn't take food and resources with you.
Yeah.
So natural limits to our reality. It's hard to go up and dig down. But nobody knows, mate.
All right.
Boy, we need to get Kyrie on this shit. We need some funding, some evidence.
Yeah, like, I mean, what do you guys think would actually be a way to fully prove this if money wasn't an option? Because I thought it's there's like a singer too, like Wale or somebody, or maybe like somebody, I don't know. Somebody definitely is a flat earther as well. Like, how much would it cost to just like get to the height you guys actually need to get to just fully prove it and be like,
we don't need to height.
We have something a little bit better than height, I think. It's just measuring the surface of the Earth. Now, the globe Earth has never been scientifically measured directly. Like, they've inferred it. Have you guys ever heard of Eratosthenes, the guy with the stick?
Yes.
Okay, so Eratosthenes in, I believe, 230 BC, came up with this idea that if you put a stick in Cyrene at solar noon, where the sun is high above the sky, he would get no shadow there. And 500 miles away, he had a buddy, I guess, and I guess he must have sent him a text to check at the right time, because I don't know how they communicated back then. But point is, his buddy at 500 miles away measured a 7.2 degree shadow. Now, from there, they measured those angles and derived close to the radius and circumference that we have now. But that's not a direct measurement, because that measurement has to infer that the light source, which is the sun, that those light sources have to travel in parallel lines, the light itself. Now, if we were to change this change the two assumptions, which is the Earth is a globe and the light is parallel, if we change it to divergent rays and the Earth is flat, you can come up with the same angles on a flat surface. Now, what flat earthers have, we've done some tests. People in our community have done tests where they take a laser, a very high-powered laser, very expensive laser that they actually had to put like on this, it's called a satellite super aiming laser device. Now, this laser is about 2 meters above sea level, right? And they shoot it to pan at a couple targets that are about 6 kilometers, 12 kilometers, and 41 kilometers. Now, the distance between 2 points is over water. Now, in the globe Earth model, the prediction is that everything should get pulled to the center of mass. Therefore, the most curvature that we should be able to measure should be on water. Now, the curvature rate is roughly about 8 inches per mile squared. Just so you get an idea, at 10 miles, there's 66 feet of drop, meaning from point A to point B. Point B would be dropped 66 feet from point A. Now, the point of the laser is to use that as a straight edge, right? Like a ruler, like we're putting a ruler on a ball. That point from point A to point B, there should be a drop off, right? So the targets that are being hit by this laser are about 1.5 meters of height, and the furthest target was about 25 miles. Now, at this distance, that puts the lowest target to hit on the globe model is 90 meters of height. But these people are able to pan targets that are 1.5 meters, showing that there's no convexity to the surface of the Earth in these measurements, at least. So the globe predictions actually fell when you actually directly measure the surface of the Earth.
But you just gave us evidence from like what 200 some BC, like, and like it hasn't been redone. I don't know. Let me say this. You said you have something better. You have something better than getting height and getting like a snapshot to like fix my doubting Thomas.
No, he said he would want something better.
No, he
Okay,
says they
so
have something better, and it's measuring the curvature of the Earth.
so if I got really high and I took a picture and it had Bigfoot in the image, would you like accept that?
Boy, I'm a doubting Thomas. I need to go up there myself.
No, like with images though, imagery in and of itself is subjective, like the interpretation of.
Would there be like a flat earther that you guys would trust that could go up and be like the vessel to say, boys, it is in fact round or flat? If you
No, because then you're still going with trust.
But
See,
wait,
that's the
so
thing. We don't want to have to trust anybody.
Okay.
All right,
If
I mean,
you
I
take
guess I
what Jose
respect
said,
that.
and he said in something BC, someone proved it, right? So why can't we prove it in 2019 to ourselves?
Yeah,
We're more
exactly. That's
technologically
exactly
advanced. We're
that's what I was gonna
smarter.
ask.
We're better. You know, whatever. You know, why can't we prove it? Why do we have to rely on some stranger that we don't know to go on TV and say, "Yeah, I did this. Here, look at
true.
these pictures."
But it comes to a more
And
fundamental
think about what they're
question.
claiming. Just if I showed you video of something fantastic, like someone flying, or elves, or ghosts, or aliens, or anything like that, you wouldn't believe any of that. So they show you images of people floating around, experienced a ball you've never seen floating, way up into space, something you've also never experienced, and all these kinds of crazy, magical, fantastic things that you've never experienced, and you have no way of judging, the reality of that image or video depicts reality. Why would you just believe it? You
I
should
mean,
apply
Like
the
I
same
said, I'm a
skepticism
doubting
that you
Thomas, dude.
apply to any other thing.
I'd have to stick my fingers in the side of Jesus. I'd have to be right there, dude. I have to be up there seeing it. That's what I'm saying.
That's the thing is, I know you guys said you get this a lot, but why? Like, what does anyone gain from this? Like, just like all this like you gotta agree. There's just tons and tons and tons and tons of information out there about space and planets and all this shit.
I know.
What do they gain? What gain?
Well,
what
like I
gain do
tried
people
to
get
tell you
from
earlier.
pulling the wool over your eye?
Well, like I explained earlier, what they've done is they've given you a new creation story. It's called the ontological primitive, the dichotomy of creation, how the earth got here and how we got here. In every single argument or debate about this, every single point will land in one of these two camps, point A or point B. Point A is that a creator, an intelligent source, created the environment, the earth, everything you see, and you to experience it. Or in camp B, nature created it. Matter created matter and sentient life from nothing regarding a Big Bang and billions of years. It's called the ontological primitive. By doing this, what they've done is they've given you the option of not creator. What they've done is they've taken the obvious created environment around you, the earth, the lights in the sky, the clockwork nature, and the very dynamic patterns and structures we have here on earth. They've taken that obvious reality away from you and given you a more atheistic ideology. Now, the people that have lied to you, I mean, the historical argument, you can go back to religion for that. We can go back to, as far back as you want. We can go back to the Greeks if you want to. We're talking about the perfect sphere. We can go back to the Kabbalah with the Talmud. We could go back to the Egyptians. This kind of nefarious, we control the people, kings and priests ideology. The Vatican, for example. The Vatican Church were the ones who gave us, primarily through this kind of new science that they were trying to build in at the time. What they gave us then was the heliocentric idea, turned everything into balls, us revolving around the sun. In 1931, Monsignor Lemaitre, another Jesuit Roman Catholic priest, gave us the Big Bang cosmology. So they've literally taken the creation away from you and given you a new creation story. This way, they've made themselves creative.
The only thing that I've noticed is you guys actually have no working models or figures. You just say that these things can't exist. Look at the proof; it doesn't look real. But you have no proof of your own. You have no working model of what the Earth actually looks like. You have no answers for anything, really.
Well,
hold on. Right, let me say this. Let me say this very quickly then. Let me say this.
Do you think?
No problem. The Earth is observed, measured, and practically used as a flat stationary plane. When I mean practically used, it's built upon, navigated across, and travelled across. If it's observed that way, you will only observe a flat stationary plane. No matter the altitude that you gain, the horizon will always rise to your eye level, and you will, with high-powered optical equipment, see things in the distance, 10, 20, 30, 1,200 miles away with an altitude that you shouldn't be able, so we don't observe the ball. We practically measure over vast distances of water between lasers and hitting target. This is a direct line of sight shot. This is impossible on a curved surface, thus demonstrating that the water below that laser line is indeed level. How water always appears. You notice how water reflects light, like a perfectly level surface. Cut glass. When you're driving down the road and you see a bit of rain, you see the lights in the road. It's exactly the same way that all large bodies of water reflect light. The sun's light. If you're at altitude in a plane looking down at the surface of the seas and the oceans, it's reflecting light like a perfectly level surface.
What is an eclipse then? How do you guys explain solar and lunar eclipses?
Back to the sky again.
Yeah, so basically, I've noticed that talking, like I'm trying to be very objective, not rude, but basically it's like having a debate with a Christian. Anything you can't prove, you just say, well, it's just a miracle, or it just happens, it just is that way.
No, well, what can you prove?
Okay, can I just?
No, I let him say his piece, but my thing is, Sketa. Here's the thing too: is like from where they're coming from, the only actual science-based funded shit is out of like control of like normal civilians. Like that's the thing is they lack the ability to do it.
I mean, but have you ever debated a Christian? It's much the same. You ask them anything that they can't prove.
All the time.
It just happens.
Talking about belief, bro. None of us have been speaking about belief. We're talking about.
But you do. You are talking about belief. These are things.
No,
you
actually,
believe.
I think this is fundamentally different. Can I explain to you why I think it's fundamentally different? Because you're talking about the God of the gaps fallacy, right? But actually, we're doing the opposite. We're saying, sorry, Panto, can you mute, bro?
Somebody's echoing.
Panto.
Okay, you're good now.
Yeah, so you're talking about the God of the gaps fallacy, which, yes, when you debate some Christians, if they don't have an answer, they say God did it. I understand.
Anyway, you have a misconception. Flat Earth is not a model. Now,
you have
not,
no working
it's not. Listen, because it doesn't require a model, because it's not a physical theory, right? We're not trying to explain phenomenon. We're only trying to determine what is, just like you would determine like the shape of your kitchen floor, the shape of a table, the shape of your house. You don't need a model. You don't need a theory. There's no theory of the shape of your house, right? We're only saying, listen, we go out, we measure this, and it's flat. It does not show a convex surface. Now, why that is, who knows, right? But it's just an empirical fact that's what happens. Right, you believe that there's some that explains all the phenomenon perfectly. That's ignorance, because in fact it doesn't. So I'll give you a perfect example. In 1597, the Barents Strait was named after. They got their ship was stuck above the Arctic Circle. So as you know, when you're supposedly above the Arctic Circle, it's 24 hours of darkness. So they're waiting for the sun to come back up.
I lived in a place where the sun is like that as well. So yeah, I'm actually well aware that that's true.
For the sun to come up, so the ice will melt, so they can get their ship out. Well, just so happens the sun came up 2 weeks too early. 2 weeks, not like a few hours, not like a few days. 2 weeks, right? And it came up every day for those 2 weeks early. Right, so there's an example of where the model didn't work. There's tons of examples.
Okay, that's like some hearsay bullshit. But I've lived in a place. I lived in Alaska.
Documented.
I spent a lot of time in Alaska, and the sunrise and set is measurable, and it happens on literally the same way every year. And that sunlight and the lack thereof during the winter is definitely measurable, real. So how do you explain that? Again, it's just something where you say, "Oh, we don't know." But the globe theory.
No, I didn't say that. You're putting words into my mouth. I didn't say that. No, we don't know. I just gave you an example where the model doesn't work.
But that's all you guys can say. All you guys can say is, well, this story proves that it didn't happen that way. But that's just bullshit.
Let's not say
that. Listen. Hold on. Let me finish. Let me say this, dude. Because you're trying to make as if the flat Earth and the globe Earth are equivalent. That's incorrect. Ours is based upon measurements, right, of the physical world. Whereas the globe model is a physical theory. It's something that's completely different. There's a theory. They don't go out and measure a globe Earth. What they do is they say gravity exists. Gravity is caused by mass attraction. Mass attracts massive forms everything into a ball. Therefore, the Earth is a ball. That's a whole line of reasoning.
But these all
to get
these
to the
theories,
Earth is a ball, which is completely different than saying I took a ruler and I went out and I measured a ball.
But the
It's
thing is, all
something
these
completely
theories
different.
line up. All these theories.
No,
that
they
you
don't.
Guys, yes, they
I
do.
just
They
pointed
do.
out a point you were ignorant about.
They do. All these theories line up. And
I can
and you
give you
guys,
more.
all
Do
you
you
guys'
want more?
theories is that
Listen, I
the
can
Earth
give you
looks
more.
You're getting
I can
upset.
give you
but the Earth-
more
You're
examples.
getting upset,
where
which
the-
is
Let's
I'm
not upset.
Which makes sense
You're
because you're a
wrong.
sensationalist.
Listen, you're
Yeah.
wrong. You're just incorrect, and your ignorance is showing. The reason you don't know where the globe doesn't work is because you never actually looked at any data. Which most globe earthers they don't look at any data. Like you never went to time and date and verified any of the data to see if it matches up, or the angles of the sun, or to see if the sun, observing the sun, those angles intersect at the same place. You've never verified any of this stuff. That's why you think it works.
You have no
Someone
working
brought
model
up-
when you can't explain anything.
Because I explained why there's no model, because it's not a physical theory.
Here. I'm getting lots of feedback here from people DMing me saying that maybe we should I understand that you don't subscribe to it, right? Because you feel
I just subscribe to actual fact, but
that's
measurable
The
fact.
facts that you don't know that exist, right?
That's
The facts that you don't know that exist.
You don't
Okay,
have a
can I
working
can I
model.
take this? Can I take this off in a slightly different direction? Because
So how
I'm
many
aware that
models
we're on a
for the
podcast at the
globe
moment.
model?
So
How many theories of
perhaps-
light?
Yeah, perhaps the
Go
guys
off,
who are
So
actually
when you look at a
listening to-
diagram for an eclipse and they
Looking
show
at
that
him.
the way the paths of light take, what is that? What does that look like? So those rays diverge, or actually they converge. But then when you look at say the Eratosthenes experiment, they say that they're in parallel. And then if you look at why the sun rises at the wrong time, then that the rays are refracted and they're bending in a curved line. So
you're
sitting here
literally-
saying the consistent model for the globe is just your ignorance. There's
It's not my
a
ignorance,
model. It not that you're stupid, that you don't know something, right? Because
I understand what the
you've
term
never,
ignorance
researched
means.
it.
I
Okay,
understand
well,
what the term
that's-
ignorance means. So you
I
don't need to
want you to
explain
feel
that to me, big boy.
insulted. I don't
Well, I
want
mean,
you
you're
to
the
feel
one that
insulted.
the way that you're talking. I mean, and it's,
All right,
it's
well,
the only thing.
let's just move
hold
on then.
Hold on. The
Let's
only
move on.
the only reason that the only thing that you can repeatedly say with no provable model, nothing that actually lines up. When something
And-
doesn't make sense, listen to me. Be quiet. When something doesn't make sense to
Be
you,
quiet.
I mean, you're continually trying to talk over me while I let you speak your piece.
So I'll just sit
Are
here
you
and listen to you lie.
I just
strawman
listened.
for
I
5
just
minutes.
listen.
So
I just
straw man
listened.
for 5 minutes.
I feel like
You
I
keep
just allowed you to
repeating
speak.
shit
I'm
about
just
the
gonna
model,
go ahead and
right?
talk
So
now,
I said there is no
I've
model.
been
And you keep
PMing
saying
with
that I already
Motivated
admitted
Bet.
there is no model,
I think
right?
that we
Did I or did I
need
not?
to probably just
So why are
calm.
you
I
using
just
it as some
allowed
sort
you.
of
I just allowed you
pejorative?
to speak to
It's
talk your
meant to
points.
be an interview, and it's not meant to be like
Listen,
a debate.
feel free, speak at
So,
will.
should we?
And then
should
you
we
try
bring
to
it back
talk
to
over
the
me,
interview?
so you
thing?
actually are upset. So let me
I
talk
don't
to you
know.
for a moment.
Does anyone agree
just
with
a
me?
moment. I
Or?
just have a question.
Yeah.
If we can.
Okay, should we bring
Okay.
it back to the realm of interview and not debate? Like I
Don't
don't
do that, bad.
because I'm happy to debate, but I didn't feel like that was the purpose of us being here. So we can debate another time if you want, or if you want it to be a debate, we can debate. It's up to you. But I don't know. I was brought in with the idea that it's an interview. So what do you guys want to do?
I want to ask if you have no provable facts, no working model. Anytime you can't explain something, you say it just is. I don't know why.
Why are you saying that?
Okay,
Hold on. Can I
make?
can
He's
Stop,
left. Can I
dude.
make the point I was trying to make about 5 minutes ago? Right. What you're invoking
Jedi, go ahead.
with
I mean,
your
you might as well just answer
Go on,
that, I
Chris.
guess.
Just go for a debate. He wants a debate.
No,
I'm asking you to answer a
here's
question.
my 2 cents. Skita, I understand that you have some questions, but you have to understand the questions you're evoking are kind of conjuring up a debate. And I think it'd be best to continue back with the interview, and then later on we can come back and we can have a little debate, a little bit more, get a little bit more rowdy than this. Just to be nice to your viewers or the people watching this, let's kind of give them back to the interview. Maybe they might be interested in that, and we can always schedule a debate.
All right, that sounds good, man.
Thank you, Skita. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you too, man.
right.
It's
The thing I
interesting
just
enough. Go on, Chris. Karen, you've been
sorry,
wanting
I've been
talk
trying to
about
make this point for ages. So
Yeah.
I'll just be very quick. You talked about the God of the Gaps fallacy, right? I understand. I hear what you're saying, but actually, that's not what flat Earth does, right? When you say what causes that, a flat Earth of the gaps would say, "Oh well."
Well,
I
if
don't
nobody
know.
else is going to talk, I'll bring up some evidence that the
Yeah, I
Earth
don't
is
think
flat.
India can
So
hear me.
I'll list
Can
a
someone-
whole bunch of things.
Can someone make sure that India can hear me?
India,
Yeah.
can you hear crypto, mate? If we're
Indio,
talking
I
over
think
him.
you have Crypto Gangster muted. Can you double check to see if you don't have him muted? Because
I don't think he is.
Yeah, let me
me
check
see.
here. Crypto
He couldn't
Which
hear me
one is-
talking, and then he said,
No,
"If
I
no
can
one's
hear
going to talk,
Crypto.
I'll talk." No, I know, but I
can't
don't
hear
think
him.
India can hear
I'll
me.
disconnect
Oh,
and
Indio
jump in the
can
other
hear
chat.
Yeah, that's why I think I didn't think he would just want to talk over me. That's why I was getting a bit confused earlier. So
Yeah.
maybe he just had me muted. Whatever. The point I'm trying to make, yeah, what we're doing is actually the direct opposite of what Skedder accused us of, which is the God of the Gaps fallacy, but the equivalent of. Instead of giving answers that we can't prove, which is what the God of the Gaps fallacy is, we're telling you we don't know, right? So it's actually the opposite of the thing you're accusing us of. It's the direct opposite. So we observe an effect. It's like, oh, what causes the sun to float? Well, if I wanted to give you a God of the Gaps fallacy, I would say God caused the sun to float. That would be a God of the Gaps fallacy. But I'm actually telling you I don't know. So it's the very opposite of what you're accusing us of.
Can you guys move Indio back up to when you get a chance? Sorry.
Well, here's the thing: is what I think was going on there. There was a little miscommunication. Sked felt like he was being talked over, unfortunately, and that kind of heated him up. This boy's high T. He's got that high testosterone. So what the thing is, what I really like to do, I'm the guy who came in, talked to you guys, like, yo, come through. We really appreciate this, but like that, yeah, there's just a little bit of a miscommunication. However, you can't expect us to like subscribe to this outright. Like we get that, yeah. But then
that's why the
interviews.
interviews. So
Yeah.
that's why it's an interview, right? We've got different ideas, and you're here to
Absolutely. And dude, this is like our third like our big podcast, and we're getting there. But you guys are bringing the content. I'm loving it. Like it's just yeah. But I guess if you want me to go back, I'd love to just string this right on back in. Why do you think that we will never ever get an objective eye view of a flat Earth ever? Like, because I need to see something. You know what I'm saying?
It's not necessarily true.
Well, you don't think that could ever happen? Because like the guy before, he was saying we're gonna have to fly everybody up into space and personally see it with their own two eyes. Like you can't just have a picture, this and that kind of.
Yeah, he's talking about verifiable evidence, though, and I do
Yeah.
agree with him on that point. Like, if you can't verify it, then you can't know it to be true. But I think Jose then touched on that earlier, and he said, well, you can just measure the ground. So why not just measure the ground? That's something we can do from here on Earth.
And that's the thing. That's what we do. There should be, according to the ball model of 24,900 miles in circumference, there should be curve over water. It's 71% of the Earth's surface, yeah? So this is where we should primarily be able to measure the curvature of the Earth. We do this drop value, the calculation, like I said, 8 inches per mile squared, from point A to point B at distance should descend so much. Yeah. Now we use lasers, we use high-powered optical equipment, P900s, 1000s with infrared filters, for example. This is the technology that we use to observe things in the distance that, according to the model, should not even be there. Now we're talking 1,200 miles maximum distance, and the mountains that are viewed in the background should be tens of miles beneath the curvature of the Earth. They shouldn't be there. You've got observations from 1 inch above the surface of the water, observing islands 18 to 20 miles away, the beaches, for example. And we see the bottoms of objects at great distances across what is apparently supposed to be a curved surface. And when we go and measure this, we use lasers, we hit targets that, again, should be predictably hidden behind the curvature of the Earth. They're not, we hit them, they're directly in front of us. So we have a direct line of sight, and we verify that with the laser targeting system. Now, practicability as well. We are able to use or not use the Earth's curved surface. Aeroplanes, for example, planing across the Earth. They go up, they get to altitude, and they literally fly level. They don't go up or down. You will never feel like you're going around the curvature of the Earth. For example, if I was to fly from Heathrow, London to Australia, I would get on that aeroplane and I would get to altitude. I would look out the window and I'd see an eye-level horizon. I'll probably be able to see 200 to 250 miles directly in front of me, depending on air clarity. The waters beneath me will be reflecting the sun's light like a perfectly level surface. Now, when I get to Australia, apparently I'm supposed to be upside down from where I first started. Now, you don't realize, you don't notice, you never see a ball. You will never see a ball. No matter the altitude that you gain, the horizon always rises with you. Think about it like this: the Earth's surface is supposed to be always curving down and away. That the horizon, with distance was descending. The horizon would drop. It never drops. They tell us it should. The horizon is an apparent location. We witness it through the atmosphere. It's light and atmosphere. It wiggles around a little bit. Like most things at distance through 20, 30, 40 miles of atmosphere, it's going to wiggle up and down a little bit. But ultimately, we see the object because it is directly in front of us.
So I have a small brain question for you. You ready?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so let's say that there's a flat plate suspended in Earth, correct? I mean, sorry, in space. A flat plate that's Earth suspended in space, correct?
No.
What's its shape? Is it like a little concave, convex?
Well, we don't necessarily believe in that. We don't necessarily believe that we're a disk floating in space.
No, again,
flat Earth. I don't. So like a triangle, a pizza shape.
No. Think about it this way, right? Yeah, think about it this way. When you're walking around in your room, do you believe that the floor of your room is floating about in space?
No.
No, it's just the floor, right?
Yeah, it's stationary.
So the Earth is the floor, and everything you see around you is above the floor.
So there's no universe.
Well, not in the way that you would conceptualize it in the globe model. No, there is no universe in that respect.
So you're saying it's like a snow globe kind of situation?
I don't necessarily subscribe to the dome. I know that there are certain people who talk about a dome and they'll say, here are certain reasons why a dome would be logical, and a couple of those guys are here. They can give you those opinions. They can probably argue them more intelligently than I can. But what I do know is that if you're talking about a flat Earth, then in my opinion, it would have to be the floor, and everything that happens above the floor, i.e. the planets that you see, that ancient people used to call wandering stars, these are all happening in the sky above you. So there's an objective up and down, rather than a relativistic up is out from the ball and down is towards the ball.
So there is an existence outside of this ecosystem per se that we're in. That's a flat Earth.
There may be. We can't leave the Earth, so we don't know.
So you think that existence, space ceases to exist in a certain boundary?
I mean, that would be the same problem with the heliocentric or acentric, is that what's beyond the edge of space? Because it's said to be expanding, right? You said earlier you believe in an expanding universe, right? So what's it expanding into?
I don't know. I don't know what I believe. Like I think there's just so much information at our fingertips that it's like it's you know what I'm saying? Like you really can't get a grasp on anything.
You understand that? Yes, I know that that's another one of these questions that you can't answer, but actually, it's a question that neither conception can answer. What's beyond the known universe? Dunno. I can't tell you. Neil deGrasse Tyson can't tell you. Bill Nye can't tell you. No one can say. But what we can tell you is what we can observe and what we can verify.
Well, and this brings me to like my small brain question for you is like man, that doesn't even work because like I always like see pictures of when I think flat Earth, it's like a disc just like in the sky or something. But like, see that just throws me off. Yeah, that's crazy. And I feel like that's awesome. We can like we just said like, boy, there's too much damn information. Like all we can really do is just observe and theorize. Like there's really no solid fucking concrete like any evidence on fucking anything, and everything's just been so diluted. It kind of makes sense where it's like, damn, we could look for an alternative thought process that makes sense in a certain way. That's really awesome. You guys are able to like do that, like come together as a group for that. So
the shape of the Earth is an observation and measurement question, isn't it? We're talking about the floor. So we observe it, like I said, long distance observations across the water, and we measure it across water.
Yeah.
There you go. The Earth is observed and measured to be flat. That's it.
Yeah,
And
you
when
have to
does it
understand,
turn
like,
into a
everything
problem?
that
I
comes
feel
from.
like I'm too low IQ to like wrap my head around this. Like it's.
Hey, motivated Ben, sorry to cut you off, but you're not low IQ, man. I was exactly where you were when 2015, when I first heard about this. All these terms we're speaking of, all this like stuff we're talking about, I would hear guys talking like how we're talking now, and I always thought, damn, I'm too stupid to get this. But if you're really interested in looking into it, I guarantee you within a couple of months of research, you'll get to understand a lot of the things we're describing, like when we're talking about certain laws of physics and all that stuff. It's not that hard. They've made us believe that you have to have a PhD, you have to go to Yale University just to like grasp this knowledge. But in reality, it's like so easy. You can just self-teach yourself these these principles and build from there. Now, the whole sky thing. Here's the problem. When we think of like a globe Earth, a lot of the proofs come from places we can't validate. I know we touched up on this earlier, but like we're told like how eclipses work. We're told how distances of stars or how stars can't be seen all over the Earth, and that proves it's a globe. All these things are pretty great. They do support a model somewhat, but in reality, when we go down to Earth and we measure like the direct surface of the Earth, we don't measure the convexity that the globe presupposes, which is about 24,901 miles of circumference with a radius of about 3,959 miles. We don't measure this convexity in any of the measurements we've done. Now, I'm not saying that the measurements 100% prove the Earth is flat, but so far the measurements have proved that those areas, which to me, it does prove it's flat, because if you believe in gravity, you'd have to know that the water should have that curvature rate, that the globe presupposes. And we haven't measured any of this. So like, there's definitely a lot of room for new ideas, a lot of new room for a new alternative. All we're here to do is present our views, and I hope you guys are enjoying this so far.
Yeah, so we actually got Sludge Babe in the chat. We spoke to her earlier. She's from the drug Discord. She said she was in the chat actively kind of asking questions and talking. I think she's got some questions for you guys. You there, Sludge Babe?
Cool.
I just wanted to present what I kind of realized talking with the people in the Twitch chat is, how do I put this? It comes down to, like, I don't think we can actually disprove them by talking. I think they have an explanation for every single point, and it's a valid explanation at that. It's actually, like, valid points that they're making. So, like, what kind of made me realize this was that the whole gravity discussion we were having, like, gravity is technically a theory at this point, because Newton's... Man, I'm on drugs, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think I go. I think I see where you're going. Like
yeah, I don't know. Was I talking to somebody who's in this chat?
I was actually in the chat. I was under an alias, Duke Silver. That was like my old Twitch.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. It was the Aether theory versus Einstein's theory of relativity, and they're both theories, and you gotta just choose which one to fucking pick. And it comes down to like arguing over pretty much which god is real. Like,
that's exactly it. But that's the thing, is this forum like actually brings people together to like think about that shit. Everything is literally a theory when you think about it. You can't base fucking anything off reality, dude. You don't even know if like right now I'm fucking AI talking to you and you're in a matrix getting like
so now we're getting into like philosophy.
Yeah.
So like I can blow this bitch out of the water really, but like that's the thing, is we love having you guys in here and like to do this. But in all honesty, like if anybody has any other topics to bring up or something, we'd love to have you guys back on. Stick around in the Discord. People probably have questions, I'm guessing, like, if or something like that.
Hey, Motivated Ben, is this a current show you do daily, monthly? How does this work, your show?
Oh, we've been kind of me, Skedit, Sid, and Kayla kind of get together. It's a daily thing. Like we just love to understand where subcultures come from, because people are so deeply ingrained in a belief set that they subscribe themselves and spend multiple hours a day on these different Discords. We love to get people out and like kind of just bring together in like a smorgasbord of a community, because in all honesty, like we can fucking scream and yell at each other all day, but like having all these people together, like that's not really done anywhere else.
Oh, Turbo Choco, thanks for following, homie. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
so Motivated Bet, here's the thing, well, on our platform right now, we have a bunch of diversity of cosmology, so I can promote your place. I can have some even concavers show up. There's some concavers on our server. I mean, we have enough content that goes on our server that we can probably have some people come over here and you can have them as special guests, kind of like us, man. We can
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, we would love to do that, and like it, and like in all honesty, like you're like, what is this? What is this going on? Where I think our ideology is, cause nobody knows what the hell's going on. All we know is that we just need human interaction and connection, and we just got to bring it together, boy. Like that's what this Discord's for.
Can I just mention something quickly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me 2 seconds actually, but I will. Sorry, you carry on for like 1 minute. I'll be able to talk for 1 minute.
The OG fucking Faded Console gifted another sub to the boy Con Swizzle, who's like our #1 chat OG. Damn, we got some real ones today, boys.
I'm loving it, boys. I'm loving it. See this is moving someplace because we're able to like objectively look at different things that we've never looked at. Like I don't spend hours on researching the flat Earth. And like hearing this kind of stuff and like being able to kind of connect the dots, it's like, okay, maybe that's a little bit more of a piece to the puzzle of like, what the fuck is reality? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's a little too deep, but yeah.
No, I agree, man.
Console balling out, man. He just bought Duke Silver a fucking sub too. Jeez,
see underneath the links that I posted for the server, there's a Google Drive link that's got literally like gigs and gigs worth of data. So imagine if he's kept a hold of that. There's thousands of memes. There's a PDFs for the laser test. There's literally hundreds of links and stuff in it. So
yeah, I'm actually interested in this. Like you guys, in all honesty, you're the biggest Discord we've interviewed. There's so much wave behind this that this is a reality to people, and whether or not it's real, like it's not to be ignored. So
it's what we experience, bro. You really need the TV to tell you live on this ball flying through space. When it comes down to it, in your own experience, we don't see any of this. We don't feel movement. We see water seeking level and laying flat. Almost 3/4 of our surface is water, trying to find its equilibrium and lay flat. So if it's not being manipulated, it's laying flat. So how can almost 3/4 of a ball's surface be spherical but not observable or measurable? It's ludicrous.
Yeah, 100%. I just wanted to mention. I think you were saying about you're basically making the claim that how can you know anything? That sort of thing. I don't know if you've ever looked into sort of Cartesian philosophy, but he's got one thing that he's so I'm trying to break it down as simply as possible. It's called the evil demon, and basically the way this goes is that you don't know that anything's true because you don't know that an evil demon hasn't got control of your faculties, right? So how do you know that this evil demon isn't just and presenting you a false reality? What I find quite interesting though is that people don't look so deeply into what can be known when it's a ball, but as soon as you say, oh, the Earth might be flat, suddenly people are asking these questions like, oh, how do I know anything? Oh, how can knowledge be attained objectively and all this stuff? And it's just like, well, why weren't you asking these questions before, when you thought you lived on a space ball in the middle of like literally nothing? I just find it interesting how the mind goes there only after the paradigm's been challenged.
Yeah, interesting.
Our community has brought together so many people that have so many different like backgrounds and so many areas of inquiry and research that we've talked about so many amazing topics. So we've had such incredible conversations. So we want to bring people back and talk about more than just flat Earth. There are tons of topics that we've come together and discussed in amazing detail.
Well, definitely then. Yeah, we'll absolutely have to have you guys back on. This was a fantastic interview. And I think we should probably do like another deep dive after maybe we've done some like if we're gonna have like maybe a discussion or more of a debate style thing. I think there's definitely more research needs to be done by people on our side. Maybe we could like even just have some of the people from the other communities come in and talk to you guys. Like I'd almost be interested in seeing what the incels think about you guys. Like it'd be interesting to hear what their perspective is on the flat Earth. Maybe it'll give them something else to focus on other than the fact that they can't get laid. But yeah, I mean, this was fantastic, guys. I really appreciate your time. Like, I'm just gonna end the stream and restart it just so we got a VOD. Like, that was fucking awesome.